Hi, I'm Kate from dailytarotgirl.com and welcome to my Tarot Meanings Deep Dive series. Today we're going to be diving into strength. So strength shows how gentleness, which is represented by the maiden, can relate to wildness, represented by the lion, and how we can face our fears and meet our challenges with gentleness, respect, and compassion. So I'm so excited to dive into this card with you. So I want you to just take a moment to settle in, get comfortable. You may want to have a pen and notebook handy because I'm going to be giving you some journaling prompts to explore. So yeah, take a moment, get comfortable, and let's get started. If you enjoy this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I post a video each week, and each week we dive into a different major arcana card. So I'm going to start by giving you some keywords for strength. Now, the picture that you see on your screen right now is from the Universal Waite Tarot. So some keywords are power that comes from within, fortitude, perseverance, gentleness, respect, compassion, and taming in a gentle way. So some symbols to pay attention to are the lion. Now the lion can represent the wild part of ourselves. It can also represent a challenge or an adversary. There's the infinity loop above the maiden's head. There's the mountain in the background, which is a symbol of, stability and strength. And then there's the maiden, which symbolizes softness and gentleness. And the maiden looking into the lion's eyes is really important. And I feel like that represents facing your fears and looking your fears directly in the eye instead of running from them. So the dark side of strength represents not honoring your own boundaries and letting others walk all over you, or identifying your soft and gentle side as weak, and not really understanding where your true power and strength comes from. So let's talk about inner power, because the strength card represents inner power. And it really represents kind of the power that comes from within, as opposed to the power that is gained through outer circumstances or physical strength. So it kind of represents this inner power, this like fortitude of the soul. So those who possess this inner power often exude a quiet confidence and kind of a quiet authority. And they tend to show a lot of respect towards others and themselves, and they tend to have a lot of compassion. These people are often calmly rooted in their values and in their sense of themselves, and they're not easily manipulated or intimidated. I want you to think, who do you know who is like this? Do you know anyone who possesses this inner power? And how do you know that? What is it about them that makes you think that they have this inner power? And how do they treat others? So how does one start to cultivate this inner power, this inner strength? One way is by facing your fears instead of avoiding them and running from them. And another way is through having love, respect, and compassion for yourself and others. These are two major ways to start cultivating that inner power. So a question I have for you is, what fears have you not yet faced? And which ones are you ready to face? How can you face your fears and be gentle and kind to yourself? That's kind of a tricky question, because there is an element of uncomfortableness when it comes to facing your fears, but how can you start to face some of your fears in a gentle, soft kind of way? So let's talk about gentleness. So strength is all about gentleness and respect and compassion. So strength is about taking kind of a soft, subtle, and gentle approach to a challenge. It's not about forcing your will, and it's not about whipping anyone or anything into shape. Gentleness is often how we show respect and compassion for ourselves and for others. And strength really is good at recognizing and honoring the divine spark in all life. So the maiden in strength knows how to see that divinity in everything: plants, animals, nature, people, you name it. And strength honors her adversaries and challenges and sees them as opportunities to cultivate more compassion and understanding. So a question I have for you is, how can you cultivate more respect and compassion for yourself? And how can you start to cultivate more respect and compassion for others? So I'll tell you how I have done this. So I have written a little affirmation. So my altar is right behind me. And I've written a little affirmation up here that I read every day. And it says, I am centered in my heart, and I recognize the divine in everything. And I'll repeat that to myself throughout the day. And I've noticed that if I can recognize the divine in someone, it's very easy for me to have compassion and patience and respect for that person. And if I can recognize the divine in myself, I have an easier time kind of having that self-respect and being gentle on myself. Okay, so another question I have for you is, where in your life are you being harsh, forceful, and ungentle? And how can you soften your approach? Okay, let's talk about boundaries, because strength is all about boundaries. Now, sometimes I think that we equate boundaries with being kind of cold and distant and unloving. But strength knows how to be assertive, how to stand up for herself, and how to maintain her boundaries while remaining loving and compassionate and respectful. So strength actually knows how to create her boundaries as a way to honor and respect herself and others. So if your self-respect and inner power are lacking, setting and maintaining boundaries are going to be really challenging for you. It's going to be really difficult. So strength advises us to set our boundaries from a place of honoring both ourselves, honoring ourselves and honoring others, and as a way to help us be more compassionate and more loving. So I'll give you kind of an example of this. So in my own life, I foster feral and stray cats. So I have a room in my basement where it's like a little kitty hotel. And sometimes I just have one cat, sometimes I'll have a few cats, like I'll have a whole litter in there. Now I have another room in my house that I could convert into a second cat fostering room, and I could help even more kitties. And I know a lot of people who foster cats who will have cats, in both of their bathrooms and their laundry room and all their spare rooms. But I've just decided to have one room for fostering cats. And at first it feels like, the decision not to foster more cats seems kind of cold and cruel. Like, why am I not helping more cats if I technically could? But I've thought about this, and the more cats that I foster, the less time I have for my own cats and for my own life, doing other things that I enjoy, and the less energy and enthusiasm I will have for taking care of cats. So I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I always want to keep it manageable. So that's kind of a boundary that I have with myself. Right now I'm cleaning 5 litter boxes, which feels totally doable, totally fine. But if I had to clean, 6 or 7 or 8 litter boxes, that could feel, like drudgery, right? Having that boundary and not biting off more than I can chew makes it so that I can have the energy and the compassion and the time to spend with the cats that I do have. Okay, so another question I have for you is, how do you feel about setting boundaries? Are you super comfortable with it, super uncomfortable? And you may notice that you're okay setting boundaries with certain people, but maybe people that are super close to you, it's a lot harder to do. How good are you at maintaining boundaries? It's easy to set a boundary, but maintaining it is where it's really tricky. So how good are you at maintaining your boundaries? So the wisdom of strength is that true strength is very unassuming. True strength comes from within, and it has nothing to do with throwing your weight around or maintaining control over others. You radiate strength when you have respect and compassion for yourself and for others. And when you're able to face your fears and maintain, flexible, not rigid boundaries. Strength is all about mastering the art of taking a soft and gentle approach to challenges. So let me know in the comments below, did you enjoy this video? Did you learn anything new about strength or about yourself? I'd love to hear it. And join me next week as I dive into the Hermit. So the Hermit is one of the most introverted tarot cards in the deck, so I can't wait to explore that card with you. So again, if you're interested in this series, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And you may also want to check out my website, dailytarotgirl.com. I've got all kinds of fun tarot learning resources on there to help you along your tarot journey. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.